Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today, I wanted to start a new series here on the channel, and I wanted to rate all of the semblances to each character over time, and I wanted to start with Marcus Black, Mercury's father, and see how powerful his semblance was, and I'm going to get into the details of how this is actually going to work. But before we get into the details and into this video, I just wanted to make a quick announcement, and that is I will have the Q&A for the 1,000 subscriber special out by the end of the month. I wanted to wait to the end of the month to give each of you some time if you wanted to ask me any questions about anything concerning myself, to get to know me better concerning RWBY, or anything else in general. Then I just wanted to give you all some time to think about what you may want to ask me, so it'll come at the end of the month. So sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. So first off, I want to start by just saying how this tier system is going to work when I do these videos, because not only am I going to rate semblances, but eventually I'm going to get into rating other characters as well. And so with this introduction to this video and how this series is going to work, I'm going to have a tier system up here. So here is how the tier system will work. Tier 0 will be God tier. It will be the strongest tier because that will be the most overpowered and unbalanced abilities or unbalanced characters will sit at tier 0, which won't be very often, but when it is, it will be for good reasons. Now, tier 1, which will be the expert tier, will be where very powerful characters are. They won't be so broken that they're God tier, but they will be very powerful characters with very powerful abilities that will suit that tier at its best. So it will not be the most broken things like God tier, but it will be at the tier that makes sense for those characters' skill or the semblance skill level. Now, tier 2 will be the skilled tier. Now, while you could say, well, skilled could be up there, yes, but at the same time, when it comes to skills, another thing that you have to consider is that one can be skilled, but it doesn't make them an expert at something. It means that they could still work their way up to becoming an expert. That's why I call it the skilled tier. And this will be a tier that isn't as good as expert tier, but it's still not the worst tier out there, and that it still has potential. So I wanted to make that skill tier so that characters or semblances will still be decent, but they just won't be as powerful as tier 1 or especially tier 0. But characters that are still within the skill tier will be fitting their tier for their exact reasons, that they could still have greater potential in the future, and that they still are pretty good for what it is. And then tier 3, obviously being the novice tier, will be the lowest tier. That will be where the weakest characters or the weakest semblances will actually go, the ones that seem either underwhelming or just not good enough to hit tier 2. So that's the ranking tier that we're going to go with. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into this. Marcus Black is the father of Mercury. And as Mercury stated in his story to Emerald about what happened in his past and why he trained so hard, is because his father stole his semblance from him. And with Marcus Black, there may not be much information we know about him other than him being an abusive father, but he also had a reputation as a mercenary. Now, what's very important about Marcus here is the fact that every character has their own semblance, and this includes Marcus, obviously. Marcus's semblance was able to steal other semblances. By taking away a semblance, it takes away their unique ability. And when it comes to stealing semblances, that is a very overpowered ability. Now, whether or not Marcus could use the semblances against his opponents is something we don't really know, since there's only limited information on what Marcus is capable of with the semblance. But being able to steal other semblances is such an overpowered ability. So let me explain. So the reason why this is a very powerful ability is the fact that Marcus could get into any fight, right? Say there's somebody that's very skilled that he goes up against because he was a mercenary, so he was someone for hire. And so if he were to go up against said individual and they turned out to actually have a semblance and they tried to use it against him, well, if Marcus knew this information, he saw the semblance, well, at that exact moment that he saw it or even got hit by it, then he could steal the semblance from them. Now, if they survived, so we'll just say if they survived the fight with Marcus, then they wouldn't have a semblance anymore unless Marcus chose to give it back to him. See, that's what's crazy about that is, it's not just that he takes it temporarily. Oh, no. He keeps it permanently unless he decides to give the semblance back to the person he stole it from. And if you think about it, that could probably make or break a character. Say if they're a hunter, that could probably make or break their career, because then they probably wouldn't know what to do with that their semblance. And this kind of goes back to the idea of what Winter told Weiss, as well as what Tai Yang was teaching Yang about how they don't need to rely upon their semblances, but more or less use them when necessary, when they need to use their semblance. And that's a pretty important lesson to actually teach the characters, is that, yes, your semblance is a powerful thing, but do not rely on it, because if you do, then at that point, it's just going to be something you're going to fall back on at any time. It's kind of like what Marcus was trying to teach Mercury in a sense, because if you think about it, Marcus thought that Mercury having his semblance was a crutch once he discovered that Mercury found out that he had a semblance. And so that's why he took it away from him. But unfortunately for Mercury, even though he did defeat his father and kill him, he never did get his semblance back. And Mercury is kind of like that walking proof of don't always rely on your semblance, because the characters are going to need more skills than just their semblance to be able to fight back. But Marcus does have a weakness to his semblance, and that is, if one's aura has been unlocked, but they have not discovered their semblance yet, then he cannot steal it. And we learned this from when Mercury told Emerald about once he had unlocked his semblance, that's when Marcus was able to steal it from him. So it seems that Marcus cannot steal the semblance unless he knows that the person that he's up against actually has a semblance. So that is the downside to this very powerful semblance. So when you think about it, Marcus may have been very powerful, and he may have had a very powerful semblance, but in the end, when it came down to it, he had a good reputation, and Cinder did want to recruit him to be able to take down Beacon. In the end, though, he was actually killed by his own son, who had finally trained and became stronger than his own father. So while Marcus did have a very powerful semblance, it also didn't help him in the end, because he actually did die to his own son, and this then led Mercury to join Cinder, and despite the fact that he did lose his semblance to his own father, Mercury was still able to defeat Marcus and kill him in the end, thus showing that while Marcus had a very powerful semblance, it still wasn't going to be able to save him from others that may have skills in other areas. So that is another problem that Marcus's semblance actually has, is that it may be able to steal the semblance, but if someone is greater in power than Marcus, then he is still able to be beaten. So in the end, I would say that Marcus had a semblance rank of tier 1. It was a very powerful semblance because it's able to steal the semblance of anybody that he is able to fight, and he also is able to keep it. And that's a very powerful thing to be able to have, but at the same time, it does have its drawbacks. So while it's able to steal the semblances, for one, he has to have knowledge that they have a semblance. So if they don't have a semblance, he can't steal it. And if Marcus has no knowledge of his opponent having a semblance, he hasn't seen it, he doesn't know of it, then to our knowledge, he can't steal it. So there's that, but at the same time, if someone is greater in skill than Marcus, then they will beat him. He can't win, he can't use his semblance to save himself from their better skills. He can only save himself from their powerful semblance if they have one. So, while in the end, it has its drawbacks, it's still a very powerful semblance in itself, being able to just take it away and then just keep the semblance for good. So it's a tier 1 semblance. But anyways, let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Share this video with your friends if you found this informative or useful. And follow me on Discord. Link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.